What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the market moving forward, as we're seeing more data coming out that could affect how the market moves, not to mention new developments on these charts. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as far as Tesla goes, as you know, there's a bit of a downtrend right over here. During the pre-market, we saw Tesla attempts to rebound to about this 386 area, coming just short of my 390 target. But then I did give you guys the warning, excuse me, that Tesla could be coming down later on. Tesla pushed a bit and it's not doing the best of jobs at holding up. It's very choppy for now, but this chart still looks weak and there's still going to be a risk of downside. The market's trying to get bought back up a bit and Tesla's barely holding up. So I still think this chart's looking weak and there could be even more downside coming. So I want to give you guys some more warnings about it. So looking at the headlines, all over the news, I'm seeing the same thing that's being reiterated over and over again, that Tesla delivered 495,000 vehicles and their sales are down in 2024 compared to 2023. That's about a 1.1% decrease below the 2023 sales of 1.81 million. That's why they ended up getting their sales at 1.79 million for 2024. So that's below 2023's record. And then, Wall Street was expecting 506,000 deliveries. We got 495,000 instead. And that's part of the reason why Tesla's remaining a little bit more bearish. Now, there are bears continuing to step in, so just be careful. I'm still seeing these headlines coming out just like this, so it's still affecting Tesla. Now, there's more data coming out. Today is Friday, the first Friday of 2025, Friday, January 3rd of 2025. Just know that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 30 minutes after the stock market opens, we have the ISM manufacturing PMI, employment, new orders, and prices all coming out. This may cause more volatility, so get ready for this just to be safe. And we'll see what this leads to, at least moving forward. Now, for other factors, just know that, sorry about that. Other factors suggest that there could be interesting volatility as well that comes up because when you look at the option chain, it's very flat right now. We have basically 282,000 calls, about a little bit over 260,000 puts expiring with a 0.93 put to call ratio. So we'll see what that leads to. Also, when it comes to our earnings, just know there's nothing coming out this week, but then next week things can get more serious. And then as far as the market goes from here, we're at a very, very rocky start for 2025, but we'll have to be very careful with the way things develop from this point on. Besides that, I'm seeing a lot of headlines continuing to talk about Tesla's delivery drop. Obviously, the media is going to love to rub this in everyone's faces and just go on over and over and over again. It is what it is. They're going to continue to go on about this as long as they want to. It's going to affect Tesla for a little bit longer, but eventually the news will subside and there will be something else that comes up. For now, just please be prepared for that. There's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin and the optimism that many of these miners and traders have for 2025, especially with the new administration. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, I don't want to focus too much on that. I just want to focus on what's happening with the charts. So at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just know that we have very important data coming out. We have some important manufacturing numbers, and they may cause high volatility in the markets. We'll see if it leads to a decline or a pump. If they pump the markets, we could attempt to push. If they dump the markets, we could be dipping lower. But just know that as far as Tesla goes, we need to break past 386 to push up towards the 390 area. And if we get back above 390, I'm going to be looking for an attempt to get to just under 402. We need to break past that to really turn back up. And if we can't do that, we still favor the downside. If we end up losing 375, if we can't hold 375, this could easily dip to about 368 and eventually back down to about 363, which is where our 200 EMA happens to be, and very close to this breakout from the cup and handle back here. So let's look at this cup and handle. The resistance was around 362-ish. So that's what I'll be watching for. What do I think Tesla's going to do? Honestly, guys, it looks more bearish. We are barely holding up, and the market's doing a better job at holding up than Tesla. But I just think that the market may drag it lower if the manufacturer numbers cause a dip, and simultaneously, because of deliveries, there's still weakness on the chart. So for now, it could dip a little bit more. But once we hit our 200 EMA, we'll see if we could get a bounce around there. So this morning, we'll see how it does. I just want to say that so far it's lackluster. It did try to bounce in the pre-market, hitting 386, coming short of my target. Now it's dipping. So there's going to be a risk of this dipping lower, especially to retest 375. If that fails, I'm looking for a move all the way down towards 368 to 370, followed by 363. So be careful, guys. There's a risk of more downside on Tesla. And if 363 fails us, by the way, we could be dumping a lot harder all the way down to like the 350s. We're not going to worry about that yet until we see what happens at 363. So just keep that in mind. For SPY, we are attempting to rebound a bit, but I do want to mention just the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder that's still present. We need to break past 590 to turn back up. Could be a small push, but then watch what the reactions once the manufacturing numbers come out at 10 a.m. There is the possibility that this pushes a bit close to about 587. I called that 588 yesterday. We're coming a little short of that. We'll have to see if we could break to that or not. And then if we can get back above 590, there's going to be a risk of us kind of churning over and eventually continuing to dip to the lower 580s. We'll be watching 582 and 580. If we lose that, we're looking for 577. So, a little bit of a push, maybe a dip does look more probable, but just to be safe, we'll have to wait and see. For other factors out there, we have ES, which is on a bit of a downtrend. We also happen to have this head and shoulders. There's a left shoulder here, a head and then a right shoulder. We need to try to get back above 59.50. Otherwise, this is favoring downside. Look for a small push here. If we reject it, we could be dipping back down to about 5,900 or below. So we'll just have to give this the time it needs and see how things end up going. For NQ, we have a nice, sorry, not NQ, the QQ, I'm sorry, Nvidia. I don't know what I'm saying. Nvidia, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders right over here. As long as we don't lose 137, this does favor upside a little bit more. It is outperforming the market a bit. I think this might attempt to get back up to about this 140 area, but we need to break 142 to turn bullish. There might be a small push to 140, but be careful. We'll see if we get some kind of rejection or not, if this is a fake out or not, and we'll see how this affects the markets. Look for a push to 140, and we'll have to see how Nvidia reacts once the data comes out. So overall, there is more potential in this. Bitcoin could be dipping back down to about 95,700. I could be looking for a small dip on Bitcoin. It might dip a little bit right over here. And then once we hit the 95,000s, we'll see if we get a bounce back up towards 98,000. So give this some time to develop. For NQ, this time we do have some upside potential. Could be looking for a test of 21,300, very close to our 20 EMA. But be careful because if you reject it, we could be dipping back down to 21,100. So look for some upsides. We'll see if we get a rejection or not. We're on it technically a downtrend. So look for a push and we'll see what the reaction is off our 20 EMA, 21,300. For the QQQ, we have the same thing that's going on. This is technically on a downtrend. This could attempt to bounce off our 200 EMA at 511, so we're looking for 516 as our resistance. We also have 519 above that, so look for a push here. We'll have to see if we get a rejection or not off of that. So watch for a test of 516 or so, and we'll see how the reaction ends up going. We might come short of 516, and then it may start dipping after that. So I do think there's going to be a small push here to about 513, and if we break that, we're looking for 516. But if we can't hold above this, if it comes a little bit short, then there could be a rejection afterwards, taking us back down to these lows around 507. So just keep those levels in mind. For Apple, we look a bit more bearish. I could be looking for a test of essentially 240.76, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For the Russell, we're very flat right now. We need to see if we could hold above 222 or not. If we break 222, this could attempt to bounce. And if we can't, this could reject. I still see a head and shoulders, and it's barely below 222. This technically suggests like 218 could be coming for rejection off the head and shoulders. So just be careful with the Russell 2000. For others out there, we have Coin, which is on a bit of a downtrend. This may attempt to rebound for 262. If we could break, they're looking for 265. But off that resistance, we could be turning back down, especially as you have this gap to fill at 248. So just watch that very closely. For Amazon, there's a left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. We could be trying to retest 222 to 223. If we reject, we're looking for a dip back down to about 220 or below. So we'll see if we get a rejection off of that. Meta is trying to rebound here. We'll have to see if we can hold above 600. If we hold that, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 608. And we'll see if we reject and come back down to 597. So if anything, this kind of resembles an inverse cup and handle, but Meta is fighting to break past 608 to turn bullish. If we can't break that, if we just hit 608 and reject again, and we end up losing 597, we turn back to bearish. So just keep that in mind. Lose 597, we turn back down. Break 608, we turn more bullish. Otherwise, we're in the middle. This is looking like it might be an inverse cup and handle, which could lead to downside again. So just be careful with the setup. watch and see if 597 breaks to turn back down, all the way down to like the low, the low 590s, by the way. Microsoft's a little bit more bearish looking. I want to see it reclaim to 424. It might attempt to push, but then I see a risk of it rejecting and kind of dipping back down to like the 415s. Google's also looking a little bit weaker. There's a head and shoulders on it. We need to hold above 192. Otherwise, we could be favoring a move back down to 188. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you all so much for listening. The VIX is going to likely dip a little bit, but we'll see if it gets a bounce or not. The market still looks a little heavy to me. Despite the fact that we tried to push a bit, we are starting to show some signs of weakness. So if the market gets a rejection, it depends on some data. So we'll see what happens when the manufacturing numbers come out. But just keep in mind the weakness perpetuates, and Tesla still looks like it's going to be retesting 375. If that fails us, there's going to be an even bigger dump, which would take us all the way down towards 368 to 370, then eventually 363 and those lower levels. So we'll see if 363 holds. If not, expect the 350s. And with that being said, guys, just know there is a risk of more downside on Tesla. There's a saying that goes, whatever goes up could always go higher, and what goes down could always go lower. So don't worry too much about just the RSI and factors like that. Just know that we could still dip even if Tesla appears oversold or not to you. Anyways, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours, and peace out.